we've no place to go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Vlogmas video. This video will be a true crime video. So I just want to say that people who have YouTube videos dedicated to true crime, like, I applaud you, because seriously, the amount of work and hours you put in to research these crimes is ridiculous. I spent so long, and because the one I'm about to talk to, I go into detail a little bit, and I watched interviews with the survivors. I had to stop and start here and there because it was just literally getting way too much. It is a tragic story and a tragic ending, and I really want to put it out there so we don't forget about the people that lost their lives that day. And again, this video is about the system failing our community, because I feel like the other videos that I've done all relate to the same thing. And this is an Australian crime because I'm trying to do some more Australian crimes before I head overseas to do overseas crimes. Sorry, I just had to change the positioning of the camera because it was really annoying me. So I was looking for crimes that related to Christmas, because this is going to be a Vlogmas one, and I understand that true crime might not be for everyone, and definitely around this time of year. But yeah, like I said, it was really tragic, and 2 people lost their lives that day. So the crime that I'll be talking about today is the Lindt cafe siege. A lot of Australians will remember this. It did go worldwide, but it really shocked Australia. So it was a lone wolf terrorism attack, and it happened in the month of December. So in Sydney, the Lindt cafe is in Martin Place, which is a very busy location throughout the weekdays and also the weekends. There's a lot of shops around there, but also a lot of businesses run from Martin Place, and there is a underground train station, so when you walk up the stairs you are in the middle of Martin Place. Also in Martin Place is Channel 7 News HQ, if that's what you want to call it. I know Sunrise and the morning show is filmed there, and their windows actually show the Lindt cafe as well. So it was a Monday morning, the 15th of December, so there was only 10 days till Christmas, and a lot of people were going to Lindt cafe to purchase chocolate. So the cafe is a cafe for drinks and coffees and food, but they do have an area to purchase Lindt chocolate, and Lindt chocolate is so good. So at 7 a.m. Tori opened the cafe, and Tori is the cafe manager. So I've described the morning a little bit. So very fast paced, a lot of workers getting their coffees before they head to work. And our 822 Monis, who was the lone attacker, entered the cafe in a baseball cap, army print pants and a puffy vest. Monis entered the cafe with a blue bag, which will come into play very soon. So Monis takes a seat at the front of the cafe near the doors, and he actually proceeds to order something from the menu. And his waitress for that morning was Fiona, who plays a major role in this story, and it was actually her first week working at the cafe. Just before 9:44 a.m, Monis called over Fiona to ask who the manager was. Fiona told him, and he asked if he could speak to Tori, which led to Fiona going getting Tori, and then Tori coming over to the man. They just thought he was going to complain about the food or the coffee not being well enough, but when Tori headed over to Monis signalled for Tori to actually sit down at the seats. So some of the workers said they saw Tori sitting there with Monis, and it looked like Monis was doing all the talking, and Tori was actually just very, like, they said he was just very focused and confused. Obviously the discussion that they were having was very serious, and I feel like if you're put in that situation, you are literally thinking, holy shit, is this real? You only expect this shit on movies. But yeah, they say that Tori and Monis was in a full deep discussion. So that moment, Tori then ended up calling over Jared, who was a casual worker for the Lindt cafe. And all he told Tori was, everything's okay, tell the staff everything will be okay, go get the keys and lock the doors. So Jared proceeded, very confused and very wary of what was happening. He walked towards the cafe, which goes through the back kitchen, and he ran into Paolo and Joel. He mentioned to Joel that he just didn't have a good feeling about what was happening. He told him that he needed to go get the keys and lock the doors. I'm assuming that morning he was actually cutting up boxes, and he had knife cutters, like box cutters, in his apron. He proceeded to hand Joel one of these knives just in case, and then he went off to go get the keys. But as Jared was locking the doors as what he was told to do, people were actually trying to enter the cafe and exit the cafe, and he just told them that he cannot let anyone leave. Selena, a customer that was actually going to go get her morning coffee, looked through the windows because she didn't understand why the store was actually shut. She did see that Tori was talking to Monis, and she just said that Tori had this really sad look on his face. And then at that moment, Monis pulls out a gun from that blue bag. So as he was pulling out the gun, he demanded all hostages to stand up and head towards one section of the building, which was across the windows. And he was telling them that there was a bomb in his backpack, because he did have a backpack on as well, and that he had bombs across Sydney, and he was literally just one phone call away from letting those people know to set those bombs off. And he just told them practically, do what you're told or you will all die. So as he proceeded to take off his baseball cap, he had a bandana across this section of his face, not like fully. And on that bandana was Arabic script, and it was something to do with what a lot of terrorists wear, or what they say. And then he told everyone in the cafe that what he was doing was an attack towards Australia. So when they do terrorist attacks, they do say that this is an attack to Australia, and it's because that's to do with our army people being over there fighting wars, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that. So at 9:51, police are starting to arrive, because that lady that looked through the window, she did call the police as well. And Monis did demand that all hostages put their phones and wallets in a certain section. He wanted to make sure that no one was a police officer, because he really had a hatred towards police. And then he started to pick hostages to stand up against the windows of the cafe, and he used them as human shields, but he also used them to show the world the fear, because where the cafe was, like I mentioned, is across the road from a news building. So literally the cameras were ready and they could literally see in the building. So if you YouTube this Sydney siege, you will see a lot of vision from the Channel 7 studio into the cafe. And he made them stand there for 2 hours, and then he would rotate them. So the hostages that weren't out the windows, he made them call media, the police, and he told them his demand. His demand was an Islamic flag, and to have a live interview with the Prime Minister Tony Abbott at the time. And what I researched, no demands were met. So the tactical response team are starting to set up outside of the cafe and across in the Channel 7 studio as well, and all surrounding buildings were evacuated. So what I'm about to say, I presume that the hostages were meant to be quiet and keep their eyes closed. Obviously, to keep their eyes closed, I feel like that's a sign of he doesn't want to see what he's doing to them. I don't know why he wanted their eyes closed, but two hostages, Stephen and John, were constantly opening their eyes and actually talking. And I'm pretty sure when they were talking about escaping, and the talking and not following Monis's rules really irritated him. So one of the hostages, Julie Taylor, actually told Monis that she was pregnant. Monis did not care and still made her stand at the window for 2 hours, arms up. I will insert photos and videos of that situation, because you can literally see the fear on their face. So as the morning turned into afternoon, the hostages were still calling media and anyone who Monis told them to call, and their needs were still not being met, which was really infuriating the hostages, because they didn't understand why they couldn't even just get him a flag. But I'm pretty sure the police decided that they weren't going to give in to his demands, and they were hoping that things would end nicely. And when all the calls were made, Monis was sitting there listening to them all, And then Jared and Joel both said that they kept constantly looking at each other because they did have the Stanley knives in their pockets, what they should do, but they decided not to do anything because sometimes a knife cannot outdo a gun, and the gun was actually pointed towards a lady, so they didn't really want to do anything at the time to endanger any of the other hostages. So Paolo, who was a cook, I'm pretty sure, he was thinking of escaping as well, and he was actually talking to another worker about, we're gonna go, and the other worker, she just refused to go because she was too scared and she didn't want to leave people behind. Also, John and Stephen were also thinking of escaping as well. So Monis let them go on bathroom trips, and then that's the time that Paolo tried to convince Fiona to escape with him. He said he couldn't be there anymore, but Fiona, who actually played a major role in this whole day, she just refused. She said in an interview that she couldn't live with herself for going and leaving people behind, so that would be like a survivor's guilt. So at 3:37, Stephen and Paul decide to make their run. At 3:37, John and Stephen decide it's time to make their escape, so they literally get up from their table and run to the opening doors. Because all the doors were locked, they had to press the green button, so literally all Monis heard was up, run, bang, and then there's actual footage of the two leaving the building. And then once they escaped, Paolo decided it was time for him to go, and he ran out the emergency door. So the emergency door only opens from the inside and it doesn't open from the outside. So this caused a frantic scene on the inside of the cafe, and Monis was demanding to know who, what and what happened. He didn't understand where they escaped as well. And Monis then said that he had to kill one of the hostages for revenge of the other three leaving, like an eye for an eye type of situation. And in Monis's head, he actually thought the police helped them escape. And then this time he made all the hostages go up to the windows, and he wanted the world to see the fear of these hostages and what he's doing, because terrorism is to terrorize, and he wanted to show that he was terrorizing these innocent people. He knew all cameras were going to be on him, the location, the amount of people. It was actually bringing a lot of news people in, and yeah, he just knew that this was going to hit the world. He was still making hostages call the media, but the media were advised by police not to do his demands, and they also decided not to tell the public that he was demanding things and what he was demanding. So Fiona, who I mentioned before, he made her go check every noise that he heard. He became very paranoid of the police coming in, so he made Fiona go upstairs, downstairs, to the front door. And in the interview that I saw with her, the lady who was interviewing was saying, so does he really think that if the police are coming in, does he think that Fiona's going to come back and tell him? So obviously he sort of had a bit of trust in Fiona for coming back. So throughout the siege, he let them go to the bathrooms, and he made Fiona and Joel make teas and food. So Fiona actually kept her phone on her, didn't give it to Monis. She must have had it in her bra, honestly, or her apron. She stored it in the bathroom, so when people were going to the bathroom, they actually could call their families or call the police or do whatever they needed to do. A lot of them did prepare their families for the worst and say their goodbyes. So two hostages, Ellie and April, were actually hiding under a chair, and where they were hiding was right next to a emergency door. So this emergency door was locked from the inside as well, but it had a lock on the top that you pull down, lock on the bottom you pull up, and then obviously you just switch in the middle. And as Monis wasn't looking, April silently unlocked the top door, which is really brave of her to do, but the other hostages saw what was happening, kept a straight face, but they knew deep down this was going to make Monis so angry. And once that lock was done, both girls exit the building. So like I said, the hostages knew that they were escaping, but Monis had no idea, and he had no idea that they did escape because they did it so quietly. Monis made them play the radio and read out the news, but one of the guys was reading the news, but he was telling lies because the news was actually very live. They just announced that the 2 girls did escape. So when Monis put on the radio, he realized that 2 girls escaped, and this just caused mayhem. Monis believed that no one else would escape after the first 3 because he did tell them that he would kill someone if anyone else escaped, and the hostages sort of did a deal with him saying no one will escape, so you don't have to worry about that. So Monis made Jared put on the radio, and the first thing he hears is that 2 more hostages have escaped, so that equals 5 hostages gone. And he didn't understand at first. I think he was a bit clueless when he heard 5 hostages, and then he realized that 2 of them were gone as well. Monis didn't know where they actually left from, so the other hostages knew that because April unlocked that emergency door, that door was ready to be opened, but Monis had no idea about this. At this point of the siege, Monis decided that the hostages will start filming their demands. He made them stand in front of the Lindt cafe sign and hold up Islamic little posters and bandanas, and they would film their demands, and then they'll send them out to the media, and you can find those on YouTube as well. So as night approaches, the hostages do say that they did start to feel like things were becoming defeated. They were alone. They felt abandoned. They felt like the police weren't doing anything. And I'm going to hit that topic a little bit towards the end about what they felt that the police did take their time to do something about the whole situation. And Jared did say that he felt once it hit nighttime that Monis knew that it wasn't going to end well, and he could tell that Monis knew that the ending was actually approaching. So in Martin Place there is a massive Christmas tree, bright lights, and this made Monis very frantic. He didn't want it. He did make one of the hostages call 000 and demand that the lights be off. So he actually put a gun to this hostage's head to demand police to turn those lights off, and I'm pretty sure they didn't turn the lights off. So in the interview that I will link below, the hostage that he puts the gun to, Selena, just thinks that he's going to shoot her and do it in front of everyone because the police would not turn lights off. So Monis decided not to shoot Selena, but he did tell her that they had literally 20 minutes to turn the lights off, and if not, that's when he would proceed to kill her. And then he decided to use Selena and Fiona as human shields because he was so paranoid that the police were coming in, and he just didn't know when they would be coming in and how they'll come in, because they could either come in just shooting guns, they could come in really rough, or come in super like sneaky as well. So the exit that Polo went through, he made Fiona and Selena go in there and stack boxes against the door because he actually thought the police would be entering from that door, and this meant that he left those hostages alone in the other room while he was in the room with Selena and Fiona. This is 2:03 in the morning, and so this siege went on for about 16-17 hours. While Monis was in the other room, the other hostages decided that it was time to exit the room that April actually unlocked. So when the hostages decided to go, I think it was about a group of 8 of them, they made a run. They literally ran towards that door, and as they were running, a glass dropped, which notified Monis that something was going on. And as they were running out the exit door, they had to run it. I'm pretty sure by the video they run out an exit door, and they must have to turn to the main entry doors, which is glass. So there is an emergency exit, but you do see like them trying to prowl the door open, and apparently Monis is behind them shooting at them, but you don't actually see that part in the video because it must be in a certain part before the video is shown that Monis was shooting, because if Monis stood in front of the window, they probably would have killed him then. So 7 hostages actually escaped that moment. But they did say that Monis did have something towards Tori, the store manager, because of the authority that Tori had, because he was the manager, and obviously he had the respect of the customers as well. So they did say that Monis had this unspoken grudge towards Tori. So at this point, Tori was sitting with a mum mum and daughter. So this mum and daughter were just older ladies that were actually in the city that day to go to a appointment. I'm pretty sure it was a doctor's appointment in that building, but they were just literally killing time and having coffee. One of them was really I'm pretty sure she had a walking stick, the daughter. So Tori was sitting with the mum and daughter, and then Monis came over and demanded Tori to stand up. So he made Tori stand up, kneel down in front of him, and they said that for a few minutes Tori was literally pleading not to be shot. Remember, the deal was if you escape, one of yous are gonna die. The mum and daughter did say in the interview that Tori was sobbing, and I just cannot imagine being in that situation. And at that moment, Monis shoots Tori in the head and does it in front of the mum and daughter. So a sniper in the Channel 7 building actually saw this happen, and he called up and then caused a hostage down. So that means that the police are going to now intervene and get in there. And at 2:14 a.m. the snipers decide to go into the building. So at this point it is Selena, the mum and daughter, and there was Katrina. So you don't really hear about Katrina throughout the whole story until the end. So yeah, the police go in shooting. They just said that it was so loud. They were standing there like this, trying not to be shot. So literally the hostages were caught in the middle, and in that moment Monis is shot dead. Sadly, during that attack, police fire shoots Katrina and kills her. So with this story, I just didn't want it to drag on because I don't want it to be a very long story. So I hope that I've gone straight to the point and just hit bullet point by bullet point of that night and day. So I just really wanted to talk about Monis and how the system failed the community, because Monis should be in jail and should have been there for a very long time. And if he was in jail, obviously this stuff would not be happening. In 2009, Monis was charged with harassing families of people that are in the army. He would send them hate mail and threaten them. Okay guys, so obviously I am in something different. My camera battery died yesterday while I was filming, and I was literally right to the end of the video, and then as I was charging it, life got in the way and I had to go pick Z up from school. So I'm just gonna quickly finish off this video. So I remember that we were up to, it was literally me telling you about Monis, the guy who held the terrorist attack. Like I've mentioned, that this crime and this person should have been in jail, because his past history is ridiculous, and the system failed us again. They put too many people on parole. They give people bail when they don't deserve it, and the things he has done is just ridiculous. So one thing that he got charged for was actually sending hate mail through the Australia Post and sending it to families of soldiers that are in war currently. So he just didn't like the fact that the war was in his country and there were soldiers from Australia. That's one reason why he held the attack. But yeah, he would send hate messages and hate speech, and he got charged for that. So December 12th, just before the terrorist attack that he held, he actually got charged with accessory to murder, and all he got was 300 hours community service. Like, put him in jail. I do not understand how you cannot put someone in jail. And the accessory of murder was to his past wife, and in 2016 he was found guilty of murdering his ex-wife. So I'm pretty sure he had a couple ex-wives, and I'm sorry, but you murdered your ex-wife. You're accessory to murder of your other wife. Like how can the system be like, yep, you can get like 2 years for killing someone, or you can just pay some bail and you can walk free because you're not going to do it again. I'm sorry, but when you do a crime and you do definitely a murder, I just believe you should be in jail and you should be sitting there rotting away, because this man they knew was a terrorist threat, and it literally was to the point where something had to be done from Monis's end for the police to take it serious, and that sadly took 2 innocent lives and put so many people in danger that day and put so many people through so much trauma. And it's just literally disgusting that Monis should have definitely been in jail for crimes he committed in the past, and he should have been in jail for the first murder. And I don't understand, like, he had to be an accessory to another murder as well. Like, he's a murderer and he's disgusting. He also holds numerous assault charges, sexual assault charges, and common assault charges. So obviously this man is very dangerous and was walking our streets. So a little bit about the hostages after the siege. They do say that they do suffer from survivor's guilt. The ones that ran off earlier, well, only I've seen one interview with one of the guys that left earlier. They feel really guilty for leaving the people behind, but when you're in that situation, the first thing you're thinking of is getting out of the danger, and they took the chance to go. And I think a lot of people can't judge them for that, because if you're put in that situation, I feel like a lot of people would be choosing to leave, and a lot of them were struggling with the survivor's guilt that Tory actually passed away, and this is coming from his workers. So this terrorist attack really shook Sydney, shook Australia, and shook the world. But the day after the attack, there was a massive shrine for the survivors and the ones that passed. It started off with one bouquet of flowers, and then it turned into thousands of flowers. I will definitely insert photos. It was huge, and it was left there for so long, and it was a great place for people to come to remember the people that passed away. And the families actually came and saw what people were doing, and it was a really nice gesture, and it really showed strength and courage, and was showing them that, and when I said them, the terrorists, that you're not going to put fear into us. And they just covered Martin Place in beautiful colourful flowers, and it brought people together. It was such a beautiful picture to look at. Both Tory's and Katrina's funerals were held 48 hours before Christmas, so it's really sad that now these families associate this siege and the murder of two people with Christmas, and it's really sad. I can't put myself in their shoes because it is so close to home. Sydney, like the CBD, is literally like a 40-minute drive for me, and I've been to Martin Place a few times, and it's scary that we live in a world now that people don't want to travel and explore the world because they're scared of what could happen, and there's just that fear in the back of your head of the what if. So that is my video on the Sydney siege. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. I do vlogging. I'm a family vlogger. I vlog me, my daughter, my partner. I'm getting healthy, working on my mental health, and I occasionally throw in these true crime videos. And I'm so sorry if this video seems like it's all over the place, but that's just life and a dying battery. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye. Mwah.